Joining us now on the Oakland County Megacast is Paul Kolin. He is the president for the Bloomfield Hills School District Board of Education. What a tough time and tough decisions being made by not only your school district, but all of the area school districts right now. How are you doing today?
Good. Yeah, it's a real tough time right now for like you said, all the school districts. We closed down our schools on Friday. We had an emergency special board meeting because of where our metrics were. We know our surrounding districts, Birmingham just closed their schools. We know Detroit just closed their schools. When I mean closed their schools, they went instead of in person to 100% virtual or remote. So yeah, a lot's going on right now, as you can imagine.
And I know it's not an easy decision, and there are a lot of factors that go into those decisions, but for the parents that are left scrambling to try to find childcare, what is your answer to them when they're trying to navigate this crazy world as well?
Yeah, it's difficult, and one of the things that we talked about, our special meeting on Friday was 3.5 hours, and we've had 7-hour, 8-hour meetings. One of the discussions we were talking about is what can we do as a district, to help those families. We are very empathetic, especially, for those working families, families with special needs, especially the working families that have child care issues. So one of the things, we were talking about is there a way to open up, because our buildings officially are not shut. The governor has not shut our buildings down. Is there a way to offer that even though students are going remote, where we have our buildings and paraprofessionals, with our students that are, learning remote, so we can ease that burden from the parents. I mean, that's something that, this is why all these decisions are difficult. It's difficult for the working families, difficult for students with special needs that, just learning on a computer is just not working. So that's why, board meetings that used to be an hour, hour and a half, and now just on this topic alone are going anywhere from 6 to 9 hours into the night. I mean, we had a board meeting months ago that ended up at 2 o'clock in the morning. It started at 6 o'clock at night. So it's just, it's difficult decisions. We're getting a bunch of public comment, from our community. I must read on average now close to an hour and a half to 2 hours minimum of public comment from our community expressing some of the concerns you just went through.
On one side, I guess it's good to see so many people are getting involved on the local decisions being made on the school board level, but also, our county commissioners and our local elected leaders. So it's good that they are being engaged. However, when it's taking that much time, is it also hard for you to move into the next step and try to address the next problem?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of everything that we're doing as a district, has been put on hold because we're going through, we spend, all of our time, researching, and one of the things that, I'm sure all board members, including our board, we do not want to be is health professionals. And, we have obviously Oakland Health, we have, Michigan in Lansing, they have a health department. And what we're being forced to do is analyze all this data and become health professionals. And, I'm sure everyone would like that taken away, from us, and then decisions being made at a county or a state level. And for us not to analyze tons and tons of data or metrics, and determining, in terms of what's safe, it's not safe. So, and again, like you said, we're spending, including our superintendent, hours upon hours when we should be focusing on educating our kids, on trying to be health experts.
Paul Kolin with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. He's the president for the Bloomfield Hills School District Board of Education. They just decided to go 100% virtual as of Friday as the district due to the surge in cases here in the state of Michigan, as well as in the Oakland County area as well. What is the next step? How long do you anticipate being completely remote, and when will you revisit the discussion to possibly go back to some type of hybrid situation?
Yeah, our board and our superintendent, again, just because, we've made a decision, we need to, the first thing that we probably need to look at is the metrics that we used in August to determine, that schools, would go 100% remote. I mean, things change, as rapidly every day. So, what study we used in August, may be outdated as of today, looking at, other data in terms of are there outbreaks happening in schools, how safe is schools. So what we're looking at as a board is, do we need to update our metrics? And then, looking at, different sort of metrics and determining, as we all want, not just our district, but every district across the state of Michigan wants to provide a safe educational opportunity for all of our students. So everyone's goal is to get students back in school as safe as possible, as early as possible. And that's what our board's doing. And and I'm close to other board members from, surrounding districts in the state of Michigan. That's what everyone wants to do. And that is our goal. So we're not just sitting on our decision on Friday. We are constantly working with our superintendent. He's working with his team to determine, how can we get students back in the buildings.
I know that earlier I was on your website and for the school district, and I will say I thought it was great that you were putting up information for your schools in your district. There was a dashboard there talking about COVID and how many cases, and a lot of information for parents because a lot of this has to do with transparency, and I think it's great that your district is already doing that and trying to be as transparent as possible with all the parents and the students as you continue to navigate this crazy, crazy world that we are in right now. Can we talk a little bit about sports? Are the teams still playing right now, and any decision about the winter sports going forward?
Yeah, so right now, the decision right now is, that is done by the MHSAA. So sports are continuing in our district as of today. And that would be a decision that obviously a board can override. But as of today, sports is being mandated by, we're going with the decision of MHSAA, and the governor's office in terms of sports is happening. So as of today, sports is still happening in our district, winter sports. And according to the MHSAA guidelines, it's going to be kicking off, normal. So our winter sports teams right now, they're practicing right now. They're making cuts for our winter sports teams. And that's, still moving forward as of today.
Paul Kolin joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. He is the president of the Bloomfield Hills School District Board of Education with us today on the program. And Paul, in terms of planning for going forward, you talk a little bit about some of the things that need to be considered or reconsidered at the board level, at the district level, in order to continue making these decisions. With that being the case, and with the surge that we're seeing right now being what it is, what plans are in place or are being discussed in terms of next semester and potentially through the end of the school year, if any, for certain rites of passages like honors nights and graduations and stuff like that?
Yeah, what we did last year, and we're probably going to, do that this year. We're 100% remote, but we made sure we provided all those opportunities. So last year, for our graduation, as an example, we had a drive-in graduation where we tried best we could, in a safe way to provide those opportunities. We had honors night. It was a virtual honors night. I'm on another organization, Bloomfield Youth Existence, where we recognize students in our community. We had a virtual recognition award. So, what we've done across the district, and again, we've done this with graduations. We've looked at all of those opportunities or things that happen, and how can we do it in the best way, safest way possible to recognize our students. Everything that we're doing in the district, everything our board and superintendent, who's great, is focused on what can we do for those students. And if we can't do it live because of, where we are in terms of the virus, what we'll do is we'll do it virtually. We'll do it the best way that we can. And we did it last year, and we'll do it again.
Back at the beginning of the school year, one thing we were hearing about, like people Zoom bombing some of the classrooms or the kids Zoom bombing one another. Are you having or hearing about any of those situations in your school district?
It's happened, but our technology team is great. So we've updated all of our security measures to avoid that happening again. So once that happened, it goes to our technology team, who quickly pivots. And what they do is they update the security system. So, we realize, going virtual, there's, a lot of challenges that we need to do. That's one of them. Second is, we have students who have individual education plans or IEPs, students with special needs. How can we continue to give those services to those students as well while they're being remote? So what our team, led by our superintendent, his team in central office, and all of our teachers administration have done is an incredible job to again try to provide the best education in this environment that we can, and that's our goal here in Bloomfield Hills. And I'm sure that's the goal of every district across Michigan right now.
As far as the number of students in your district, is there a concern or are there discussions about the possibility of students leaving and maybe going completely remote with some of these other programs that are out there, because that could have an impact on your budget?
Oh, it's not just that. I mean, if you realize our district is surrounded by private schools as well. So there's two things we're worried about. Private schools have gone 100% full and face-to-face. So we're at risk of losing not just students to those virtual remote programs, we're at risk of losing students to go to private schools. And a lot have already reached out because, that learning online just, it doesn't work for them. So, parents already put their names on waiting lists. We have lost some families to neighboring private schools because private schools are going 100% face-to-face and we're not. And that is a concern that we have, and that's something that, not just us, but other districts are going to have to address. Us more so because we are surrounded by private schools like Cranbrook, the Christ Country Day, St. Mary's. I can name, 5 to 10 of them. And that's something that we are very conscious of.
And just to follow up on that, Paul, with that being the case, what can the school district do to try to maintain having those students on their role in the Bloomfield Hills School District instead of jumping to these private institutions because they want that in-person learning, if there's anything that can be done at all?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing we can say is, yes, there's all these stories that, students are going, private, face-to-face, 5 full days. When we were at hybrid, we were offering our core instruction in the morning and then afternoon, some of our specials. Again, during this, it's very, very difficult, to compete, with private schools that are offering that because they're tuition-based. Of course, they're going to offer, those opportunities because they don't want to lose the tuition. But what I can say is when we all go through this, and we want those families to come back, going, through our district, gives our students as much, if not more, opportunities than they would get in the private schools. So it's difficult to compete with that, from if parents or families want face-to-face 5 days a week, we can't compete with that. But what I will say is if we can get through this, and we all will, and we all know we will eventually, coming back to our district, we'll offer them as many, if not more, opportunities than anyone will get at private schools.
Just a couple more minutes here with you on the Oakland County MegaCast. Anything you want to touch on before we let you go that maybe we didn't bring up?
No, I mean, the one thing, just for not just for me, but for all school boards, again, the goal is to get everyone back in school. Our job is to educate students in the safest way possible. So, one thing that people may not assume is, our school board and most school boards in the district administration, we're working around the clock to figure out a way how we can get our students back in the buildings in the safest way possible. So just because we had a meeting on Friday, and we went through and we went 100% remote, doesn't mean across our district between the teachers, the administration, our superintendent, and the board, we are not, reading stuff, updating stuff, and thinking around the clock on how we can get students back into buildings as quick as possible, as safe as possible.
Well, we appreciate your time and all the work that you and the other board members and the superintendent are doing. It's not an easy decision, and I know a lot of thought goes into making these decisions. So thank you for your time. We appreciate it, and good luck to you and your team. Stay safe and stay healthy.